We are live. We are live. Welcome. Welcome into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love every single thing of college football. And if you do as well, if you need a little bit of extra content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist, your priest, your cat, and your dog. Welcome in. We got a stack show tonight, March 24th. We received an Arizona State Money Perch letter dated March 24th. We're going to read it to you in the whole thing. We're going to read you the whole letter. For those who don't know who the Arizona State Money Perch is, he's been giving this information ever since January 31st. He's been nailing the story. He's got some information tonight. This is coming down to good old politics, and you guys know how much I hate politics. But that's what it's coming down to for those Pac12 schools. We're going to dive into it. We're going to start the show. I got a story to tell. So it's story time here. Peek Around the Corner. I'll get to it. I'll get through it as soon as I can. But it's about learning to take the L. It's about learning to take the W. It goes all the way back to 1975. T-ball. I was on the blue team, Sanborn Park, Robbinsdale, Minnesota. I'm going to explain that story to you and why it's relevant here today, March 24th. Then we'll get to the Arizona State Money Perch. Then we're going to get to John Wilner's mailbag that came out today. We're going to break that down. I agree with a lot of what Wilner's saying. I do. I really do. Here at Peek Around the Corner, the rebel outpost of all college football YouTube channel, we're actually close to John Wilner, closer than what people would expect when it's coming down to what we feel about this situation. There are some things I disagree with Wilner on, But there's a lot of things I agree with them on. I think if you read Wilner's mailbag like I read it today, I think he really believes the Pac-12 future as it is right now is resting on the knife's edge. There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. The doubt is what exactly will these universities decide on, but it is resting on the knife's edge. So that is a stacked show. That's a stacked show. We got Wilner, Arizona State. We got the Big Ten predictions. That's the second thing we're going to do tonight. Our way too early Big Ten predictions. We've already done the Pac-12. Washington is going to win it. We already did the way too early ACC predictions. Florida State's going to win it. We already did the way too early SEC predictions. Georgia's going to win it. We already did the way too early Big 12 predictions. Texas is going to win it. Tonight we're going to do the Big 10, but I got to tell you something. Since we've got a stacked show, and since I'm depressed about the latest Minnesota Golden Gophers news coming out today, we lost another defensive starter, defensive tackle, Trill Carter, because I am so despondent. And the Gopher fans are going to be so angry with me tonight. We're going to get through those predictions real fast, real quick. But mainly because we got a stacked show, right? Right? So, first of all, let's get to our sponsor. We are so thankful to have our sponsor. First of all, for those who are new to the show, we do a monologue. Then we get to your comments, then some of your comments, and then we get to your phone calls, 763-260-13. What is it? 1333 or 3331. I don't know what the number is. I'll get that number to you later on. But the phone lines are closed right now. We'll open them. Welcome to Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. We invite you to discover the Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters difference. Clean hot air, roasted coffee produces a smoother, richer, healthier coffee that is less bitter and less acidic. Our hot air roasted coffee uses convection heat to loft the beans for a very even heat transfer. The clean, bright taste that people rave about is achieved by roasting the bean quickly and evenly while suspended on a bed of hot air. From craft to cup, hand-picked coffee beans. Go to the description box. Go to the link. Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. Open that baby up. Search for the coffee that you want to try. It's the smoothest coffee the Little General has ever had. It's a beautiful coffee. Give it a try. And if you want to support this channel, while you order a bag of coffee, put PATC in the comments section. We thank you so very much. If you do not want to support this channel, go ahead and order the coffee anyways. Just don't put PATC in the comments section. This is the best coffee that me and the wife have ever had. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Okay. Story time. And I'm not going to try to take too long on this because we got a stacked show. 1975. I learned a great lesson when I was young. I was playing on the blue team in 1975 in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, Sanborn Park. It's a first-ring suburb around North Minneapolis. Our teams were not named the Dodgers or the Royals. Our names were colors. Blue team, green team, pink team, red team. I was on the blue team. We lost every single game. Every game. We were horrible. I don't know. We had like 15 kids on the team, 17. You all play at once. You know, you're all out in the outfield. Some people in the infield. You have that one person who can catch the ball. You put him at first base. Maybe you have a person with a decent arm playing third base, shortstop, and second place all at once. We lost every single game. Every game. Then there was the last game of the season. And we're sitting there on the bench. And the other team didn't seem to be showing up. They were short on players. There were only like 5 or 6 kids. And the umpire came to our coach and said, they've got 5 minutes to get enough players or the game's a forfeit. Now, this is back in 1975. We kept score in T-ball back in those days. So we're sitting there on the bench and we're all praying that they don't show up. That there's not enough players to show up. We want to win. We've lost every single game all summer long. We're watching, we're looking across the field. No parents, no other cars are showing up. We got enough players. We haven't won one game all year. The other team is not showing up. Finally, the umpire calls it. Forfeit. We win. The blue team wins. We run out in the field. We're screaming, yelling, cheering, throwing our mitts in the air and try to throw them back over the fence. I remember this. 1975. We were so happy. We ran back to the bench because we ran around the field acting crazy. I went back to the bench and my mom said to me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You've got to win. You got to learn how to win." And I remember saying something, "Learn how to win? We haven't won all year." She says, "You got to learn how to win." That's the story for today. Winning and losing. Sports is important. Sports is very important for our young girls and young boys growing up in this society more than ever before. And it's, or maybe not even playing sports, but being something bigger than yourself. Playing for a sports team, playing for a chess team, being in choir, being involved in your church or your community, whatever activities, being something that's bigger than yourselves. But sports gives you something extra. It teaches you how to lose and teaches you how to win. It's very important to keep scoring T-ball. Does that sound crazy? I don't think it's crazy at all. It's very important. We see in society today kids going out in high school. They ask a girl out. The girl says no. The kid doesn't know how to take an L. Taking the L. He doesn't know how to do it. So he gets upset. He stalks the girl. Goes in the school with a gun. People don't know how to take the L. And people don't know how to take the W. You got bullies in school who wake up every day with all the advantages in the world. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're smarter. Their family has more money. They drive a nice car. And they bully people, right? They bully them because they don't know how to take the W. Taking the L, taking the W is what we got to get back to. So we learn how to take a step back and say, you know what? I just lost today. I got that wrong today. I'm going to brush myself up and do better the next day. Oh, I got the W today. I'm going to stand up, brush myself off, and try to repeat that W for the next day. Man, we are missing that. We are missing that in today's society. You're going to lose. You're going to win. It's okay to lose. It's okay to get something wrong, but it's not okay to lose or get something wrong and act like a jackwagon. It's okay to get something right or win, but it's not okay to get something right and win and act like a jackwagon. I just wanted to bring that up because this story, this Pac-12 saga that's going on, there is a lot there. There is a lot going on. I'm going to go back and in 7 days from now, on March 31st, a week from today, next Friday night, we'll probably have a special live show. It was March 31st, 2022, where we put out some tweets. We were instructed to. We had the story that USC called the Big Ten, and the rest is history. It was not a one-day story. It was a 3-month story. We documented it. We gave evidence. We gave real-time information to media companies. A couple of them took the information and they knew what was going on and everybody else ignored it. Fine. But it was more than a one-day story. And there was so much there. And you know what? I have a notebook worth of it. Not just one letter, not just one text, not just one communication. Not just one time the Big Ten tracked us. Many times, 9 times that we know of. There was so much information verified by media companies. All of it's real. None of it, all of it was real as real could be. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. This Pac-12 story, same thing. There's so much there. So much that's not even being put out because some of it's real hot. Nobody knows what the final decisions of the Pac-12 presidents are going to be. Nobody knows what George Kliavkoff's final proposal, offer, contract is going to be. We don't know that. Not now. Maybe someone does. Maybe President Robbins just decided 10 minutes ago and someone out there knows that. I don't know it. But all of that is real. All of it. Even though we don't know where the story is going to end up going, we know that it's real. The conference is sitting on the knife's edge. It isn't just our Arizona State Money Perch. That's the person we know, who, by the way, has nailed the story from day one. And we're going to go through his letter tonight, his latest letter that came us to this morning. You can take it however you want to take it. That's up to you. But there's a lot of people talking. And they're real. And these reporters are real. They're giving the information that they feel comfortable giving out at this time. Don't know where the final decision's going to be. I don't. I should say I don't. Not tonight. And February 24th, which is a month ago, 1 month ago, February 24th, we finally said the odds have flipped. The chances of Pac-12 getting poached are slightly greater than not. For the first time. John Wilner today has it a minus 4.5 point favorite that the Pac-12 holds together. Slight favorite. Slight favorite. Slight underdog. It's slight either way. Do you know why? Because it's real. It's not fake. It's not dreamed up by the Endeavor consulting firm. People are not taking their marching orders. The same people who believe all this USC stuff from last year, that we were fortunate to have the information and break and give it to media companies, the same people who think all that is fake think all this is fake. That what's going on. Why do you think that is? Learn how to take the L. Learn how to take the W. We got to get back to that. That's all I wanted to put out there on that story. I'm getting off that right now. Arizona State Money Perch. Let's get to it. Arizona State Money Perch. Let me read you the letter. Okay. Now, give me a moment here. Give me a moment. All right. Okay. This was this morning at 6:57 a.m. Arizona State Money Perch. Again, I know there's a lot of new people to the show, so I'm going to go over it real quick. If you're not new to the show, you've been around us since day one. I know this is getting old for you, but Arizona State Money Perch is a guy who knows he's on the money perch. Okay? He sits on a certain perch. He's been giving us information for years, information that 99% of you would not find interesting at all, but we found it greatly interesting to us because it had a lot to do with Arizona State hockey program over the years. This guy nailed it every point along the way. January 31st, this Arizona State Money Perch said that Arizona State voiced their displeasure in the January 30th Pac-12 meeting. He used the words of they were discouraged, they didn't like the process, they voiced their displeasure. A couple weeks later, you know what Athletic Director Anderson said at Arizona State in public, pretty much matched the words that we were able to give to you that information a couple weeks prior. He's also said that Arizona State Money Perch said, at first she said, look, the only way this Pac-12 conference implodes if Washington and Oregon pull the thread. But then he changed his mind and said, look, this thing can go where the Arizona schools move first, but it would be Arizona that would move first, and then Arizona State would follow. We've read a couple of those letters. We've skipped over some of his letters because they didn't really add to the story. But March 24th, after the last few days of where that March 21st, that day that we're supposed to circle the calendar and the dominoes were supposed to fall positively for the Pac-12, nothing happened. Nothing happened. I didn't do a live show. I said, I told the little general, I said, there's nothing of value here. We don't have anything that pushes the story. I could have came on and wasted all of your time. I chose not to. But this letter, I think it pushes the story. You decide. You decide what all this means. Put down your comments in the comment section below the video. Disagree with this gentleman. Agree with them. Okay? Take all this information, take it however you want. It's up to you here at Peek Around the Corner. We here at Peek Around the Corner, we can disagree with each other. Okay? In this community, you betcha. As we say in Minnesota, you betcha. We can disagree with each other. Okay. Money Perch. 6:57 a.m. We are no longer the Pac-12. Even if the 10 stick together, we are not what we were, and we have to come to this realization. No, we have come to this realization. We lost UCLA and USC, and adding 2 or 4 schools now doesn't get us back to being a Pac-12. We are no longer Pac-12, then what are we? We are what the networks tell us we are, and they are telling us we are no longer power conference. Now, he doesn't say Power 5, he doesn't say autonomy, he just uses the term power conference. We have to make a decision if we want to remain a power school in athletics. We have received enough cloudy information to understand where it all sits. The resistance to moving to Big 12 is no longer about academics. It's about internal school politics. Pac-12 is no longer Pac-12 with Arizona schools. It's definitely not Pac-12 without Arizona schools. Nothing against SMU. Nothing against San Diego State. Adding SMU is not adding a Pac-12 school. Adding San Diego State is not adding a Pac-12 school. Joining Texas Tech and Oklahoma State in Big 12 is also not adding Pac-12 schools to our students' experiences. If Arizona schools leave to the Big 12, Oregon and Washington won't be staying with California's Stanford just to say they're in the Pac-12 while adding a couple more Mountain West schools. The Pac-12 and the Big 12, as we know them, are no more. The question that needs to be answered is, shall the Arizona schools ride it out for another month so we can ride it out for another couple of years with the 8 other schools? Or do we move now and get on with it so we can plan the future with at least some certainty? There's not a person in the room who believes Washington and Oregon are sticking around. No one believes consolidation is done. We don't even exist, the Pac-12. We don't even exist in ESPN's and Fox Sports pecking order. It's not that George Kliavkoff hasn't made progress. It's just the situation has become more clear. The tipping point has been discussions around expansion. We go get a streaming deal with expansion attached, and nothing against all these candidates, but we get further away from being Pac-12 schools. So why are we staying here again? Every time expansion gets discussed with risk-filled media contract, all the reasons not to join the Big 12 melt away, except for the political ones. You want to be wanted. I go back to the California plan they tried to pull in middle of December. Okay, so when he says I go back to the California plan, he has talked about this in pretty much every letter, even the ones that we haven't read to you all. But this is the one where a University of California Board of Regents, I forget the name, but the gentleman said to reporters, to at least one newspaper person, said, look, we put pressure on the Big Ten. We wanted to get California, Stanford, Oregon, Washington into the Big Ten. We would love to be the Big Ten. I'm paraphrasing it, but that was pretty much the message. This Arizona State Money Perch gentleman has gone back to this moment over and over and over again. When that gentleman, California Board of Regents gentleman, said that, and he said that right after the December 14th meeting where they decided to do a calimony tax on UCLA joining the Big Ten. When that happened, that caused a huge fracture, a lot of distrust in the conference. Okay, so back to I just want to explain to you all what he meant by that. Get back to the letter. You want to be wanted. I go back to the California plan they tried to pull in the middle of December. California tried to separate themselves from the Arizona schools. Fox don't have interest in this former Pac-12. ESPN can take us or leave us. Only one person wants us, and we are taking his calls. Riding this out for another 5 years with all the risks and no longer even truly being Pac-12 is daunting. It's increasingly looking stupid. Investing my resources at current levels into Arizona State will not change regardless of the decision by the university. I do share the goal with colleagues to see our university compete nationally on all fields. I do believe we are at the stage where competing nationally increasingly involves being associated with a national conference, not just a regional conference, unless you reside in the Southeast. Riding it out for 5 more years is an option, but it's going to be a continuous battle to remain nationally relevant, while Texas Tech in Lubbock has all the athletic advantages over us. Interesting. True Pac-12 no longer exists, whatever we decide. That's the letter. There's a, and I can say that this is not the only person saying all this. Okay? The conference sits on the knife's edge. Can George Kliavkoff get a deal where they can sign and they can risk this for another 5 years? It could happen. According to this Money Perch person, this week didn't really offer much at all. Like nothing. Let's get to the John Wilner article. The mailbag, the new mailbag. I agree with a lot of what Wilner says here. Now, I'm not going through the whole mailbag, okay? I'll try to, I think I failed to put the link in the description box, so I'll do this after the show. But I'm just going to go over what I think is important parts to what we're discussing tonight. Hotline mailbag, the Fox Factor, NCAA units, Friday Night Lights, Pac12 Survival odds, President talk, and more. Okay. So there was a question saying, what about Fox? What's going on with Fox? Wilner answers, good question. What is the deal with Fox? Again, John Wilner, mailbag, Mercury News came out this afternoon. This week alone, there have been varying reports about Fox involvement in the Pac-12 media negotiations. None of them mutually exclusive. Fox can be interested in a package of Pac-12 games, but not actively involved at this point. The situation reflects just how nuanced media negotiations can be and just how secretive the Pac-12 process has been. A lot of that is true, but here's the problem. John Wilner says Fox can be interested in a package of Pac-12 games, but not actively involved at this point. But the report from John Canzano says that the Fox is in negotiations. Then later on, Canzano used the term, they are at play with the Pac-12. Neither of them are true. Fox has not been talking to the Pac-12 for months. Brett McMurphy reported it. Other people have reported it. That's the problem. It's not just, sure, would Fox come back and be interested at a certain price? Sure. Not actively involved at this point? Yes, we concur. But then there was just a report a couple days ago saying they were in negotiations with the Pac-12. And that is what reporters batted down that idea. Multiple national college reporters. Back to Wilner's mailbag. Our view hasn't changed. Fox has a lot of Saturday night broadcast windows on FS1 that are currently devoted to the Pac-12 content and must be filled in the next contract cycle. We agree with that here at Peek Around the Corner. Sure, it could slot Mountain West matchups and Brigham Young home games, Big 12 home games into that window. But the network assuredly would want the option of Pac-12 games at the right price, of course. That said, there's no indication Fox wants a significant portion of the Pac-12 inventory, that it will or has bid on the Tier 1 premium games. Those negotiations likely involve ESPN, Apple, and Amazon. More broadly, Fox has played a crucial role in moving the situation to this point. As most fans are aware, the network orchestrated the Big Ten's raid of USC and UCLA according to every media industry source we have. One sarcastically referred to Big Ten as Fox Incorporated. Well, there's no question about it. Fox, they wanted the city of Los Angeles. They wanted to grab both USC and UCLA. I will say, and most of you might disagree with this, Fox, do they run all Big Ten expansion decisions? Not quite. Almost, but it's not everything. Does ESPN run all of SEC's expansion decisions? Not quite. It's not all, not 100%. I'm not going to get into it now, down in a different live show, in a different episode, but it's not quite Fox Incorporated. But I understand what Wilner's saying. Back to the mailbag. It has also impacted the course of events for the Pac-12 relative to the Big 12, with a massive advantage to the latter. Massive advantage to the Big 12. Why? Fox has a long-standing contractual relationship with both conferences. In the case of the Big 12, Fox lost the premier brands when Texas and Oklahoma bolted for the SEC, which has all-in contract with ESPN. As a result, Fox needed Big 12 inventory to retain a presence in Texas. With the Pac-12, the situation is reversed. Whereas Texas and Oklahoma went away from a conference aligned with Fox, the Los Angeles schools jumped into a Fox conference. Because of its broadcasting partnership with the Big Ten, the network can maintain its presence in the massive Southern California media market. It kept what it wanted. In other words, and has little motivation to maintain a major stake in the Pac-12. It had to partner with the Big 12 to keep a foothold in Texas. It doesn't have to partner with Pac-12 to keep its flag in California. So in some respects, Fox bludgeoned the Pac-12 twice. Some really good writing by Mr. John Wilner, the Mercury News. Which brings us to another issue the hotline has pondered for months. The Pac-12's current contract with Fox and ESPN gave the networks a 90-day exclusive negotiating window with the conference to hash out a new media deal. We know that window opened in July and closed in early October. We also know that the Pac-12 was unable to extricate itself from the window until the 90 days ended. And we can assume that Fox, because it already had what it wanted, the Los Angeles market, did not make a serious offer for Pac-12 inventory. 3 weeks after the Pac-12 exclusive negotiating window ended, the Big 12 announced an early renewal of its agreement with Fox and ESPN. We would love to know the details of conversations between Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff and the Fox executives. Unfortunately, that aspect of the saga likely will remain a mystery forever. Again, tremendous writing by John Wilner of the Mercury News. Here's the question, the next question for Wilner, or the next question that we're going to talk about. Following up to a good past article, you projected a $6 million gap per school between the Pac-12 and the Big 12 distributions for the 2023 fiscal year. For 2025 and beyond, what are your projections? Do you see a continued $6 million or more gap? Wilner, yes. The Big 12 has already been distributing more cash to schools than the Pac-12, a point that many have missed during this saga. Once we see the Pac-12 media rights deal, and whether there's an unequal sharing of postseason revenue, that would be a smart move on several fronts, by the way. The hotline will offer new projections. Okay. This is not quite the money shot of the article. The PATC money shot, that's going to come up here real soon. But I have to talk about this. I don't want to circle back to this. I want to talk about this right now. Once we see a Pac-12 media rights deal and whether there's unequal sharing of postseason revenue, that would be smart and several fronts, by the way. The hotline will offer new projections. Okay. There's this belief out there that unequal there's this growing belief that unequal revenue sharing of postseason revenue is the holy grail of making your conference whole again, right? To make it healthy. We at Peek Around the Corner, we have talked about the unequal revenue sharing to help expansion, to help grow the value of your conference through expansion, to get teams like San Diego State and SMU to get into the conference because they're going to get Power 5 shares of this new playoff revenue, right? They can distribute a lot of it or most of it or all of it to the rest of the schools to make them whole, to grease the skids to get those schools in when it comes to expansion. We've discussed that here at Peek Around the Corner over and over and over again. But unequal revenue sharing, postseason revenue or media revenue, that is a dangerous gambit. Let me explain why. In this new revenue, in this new playoff revenue, in the new expanded playoffs, each Power 5 school is going to get the same amount of money before performance. We'll talk about that in a second. So let's say it's such and such a contract, right? All Power 5 schools get 80% of the money. All G5 schools split to 20% of the money. So let's just come up with a figure of $20 million for each school. We're just going to throw that out there. Make it easy. Each Power 5 school is going to get $20 million added to the conference payout because they're a Power 5 school. Then there's going to be some money, whatever it is, there's going to be some money that schools get because they make the playoffs, they advance in the playoffs, they win the championship. But we're talking the flat fee. We're talking everybody gets the same amount of money regardless if they make the playoffs or not. Unequal revenue sharing of postseason revenue. Here's the problem with that. If you do that, Pac-12, if you go to Oregon and Washington to try to keep them in the conference and say, you know what? If a Washington or Oregon makes the playoffs, or anybody makes the playoffs, we're going to skim. You're not just going to get the extra money that's going to be allotted to an Alabama making it, to a Michigan making it, to a Florida State making it. You're going to get that extra money, plus we're going to skim off the rest of those Pac-12 schools so you can make even more, right? Unequal revenue sharing of postseason revenue. The problem with that is, let's just say Arizona, University of Arizona football. They got Brett Yormark on the phone. Brett Yormark is saying, you know that incredible amount of money that's coming in for playoff revenues and expanded playoffs? We're not touching that. That's all yours. You're going to get that $20 million. No matter what, every year, $20 million at the life of the playoff contract. We're not skimming that off to give it to whoever makes it. If you make the playoffs, Arizona, it's a Big 12 school, of course you're going to make more. But we're not going to skim it from the other schools. So right away, it doesn't, the unequal sharing of postseason revenue, the unequal sharing of media money has a very limited effect. And a lot of it is, on the positive side, a lot of it is dangerous. You're playing a dangerous game. So when he says that would be smart move on several fronts, it's a dangerous move. If that's going to be part of this media contract, if this is going to be part of it, that's just another stick of dynamite that's going to blow up. It's going to blow up that conference if that actually gets pursued. I can understand why the bigger football brand schools in the Pac-12 would want this. But then you're looking at some schools that could be being targeted by the Big 12 and they're saying, no, we're going to take our $20 million, whatever that number is. We're going to take our $20 million every single year just like Kansas is going to take it, just like Oklahoma State's going to take it, just like West Virginia's going to take it, just like University of Central Florida's going to take it, just like Cincinnati's going to take it, just like Kansas State's going to take it. Why are we going to get less than them once again? We're already getting less than them in our media contract. We're already getting less exposure than them in our media contract. Now we're going to get less in our playoff money. Very dangerous gambit. Okay. That's not even the money shot. That's not even the money shot. Our odds of Pac12 survival have dropped to 4.5 points from 5.5 points, which should come as no surprise to anyone who read our early March predictions. We opted against setting the line a half point lower, at least for the moment, because of the public comments from several presidents over the past 2 weeks. So Wilner's taking these positive comments from the presidents. He's keeping the line at 4.5. He's not going to drop it a half point. That's fine. That's fine. But Wilner, 4.5 points. That's not much of a favorite. So it's not like Wilner agrees. I'm sorry. Wilner agrees with not quite agrees with Peek Around the Corner, because we would have Pac-12 getting poached at this time, probably 2.5 point underdog, but we're close. And the reason he has it at 4.5 point survival is because there's uneasiness behind the scenes. There's uneasiness inside the Pac-12. That is the truth. We don't know if it's going to implode. I don't know. But it's sitting on the knife's edge. And that money, that 4.5 point favorite, Wilner agrees. It's sitting on the knife's edge. If the situation appeared truly dire behind the scenes, the conference, which has been incredibly disciplined in its messaging, would not have sent them out with talking points. Could Commissioner George Kliavkoff have misread the state of negotiations, leaving the conference exposed to a massive downside surprise and potentially extinction? That scenario seems unlikely, but once again, cannot be ignored until a contract is approved. I agree. Here's another question. I agree that there's zero chance the presidents would have expressed solidarity and optimism unless they were getting positive updates from Kliavkoff. But what level of detail do you suppose they're actually getting? Wilner's answer. Based on comments made by Arizona's Robert Robbins, the presidents had not seen the final offers as of early last week. Could more details have been provided at the Pac-12 meeting on Wednesday? Of course. But we would caution readers to keep in mind that an offer and a signed contract are very different things. Here is the money shot of the whole article. The money shot. PATC money shot. In fact, the biggest obstacles might be the details, not the dollars. The schools are keenly interested in how much content would be on linear and streaming platforms, the number of night football games, and the in-season selection process. Exactly. Visibility, exposure. The biggest obstacle might not even be the dollars. It's the exposure. We've been saying that for months at Peek Around the Corner. We don't even talk about the dollars. We're the only people that don't talk about the dollars. Yes, money's important, of course. But we had to emphasize the visibility part. We've been saying this since October 30th. That final piece is critical. If the kickoff times are set well in advance, fans can make plans to attend and schools can develop marketing strategies, thereby increasing gate revenue and potentially offsetting a slightly lower dollar figure from media rights contract than desired. Do not underestimate how much the schools value an enhanced game experience and the role that issues are playing in the negotiations. Okay, so money shot, yes, visibility, exposure could be more important than dollars. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm so far behind here. I told you we had a stacked show. We have not been live for many days. We're going to get to it. But we've got to get to our Big Ten predictions. Our way too early Big Ten predictions. Hold on 1 second. And we're going to go through them fast because tonight, your host, Greg Pflugar, Gophers, received more negative news. So we're going to go through this real quick. Okay. PATC Chalk Talk 2023, way too early. Big Ten predictions. We've done the other 4 Power 5 conferences. We waited to the Big Ten for last. Let's get to it. It's going to be controversial. Yes, Greg the Cooler of 2022 is going to be Greg the Heater for 2023. Let's get to it right now. Number 14, Indiana. So I did it from 14 to 1. And then I put down the place 7th in the East, 7E. So I combined the 2 divisions. Big Ten's gonna have to get used to it because starting in 2024, there's not going to be any divisions. Indiana, I'm only going to go through this real quick. We're not going to do a deep dive. It's been a long monologue. I want to get to your comments. I want to get to your phone calls. So we're going to blow by this. 14, Indiana Hoosiers. Number 13, Northwestern. Number 7th in the West. They're still going to be at the bottom. Rutgers. I had thoughts about putting them farther up, maybe 11, maybe 10. I got Rutgers 6 East. The key with Rutgers is they got new offensive coordinator Kirk Shiraka, and I think he's perfect for Shiano. I think he's perfect for Rutgers. He is great at developing quarterbacks. He has a very small, thin playbook. I should know as a Golden Gopher fan. But what Rutgers will run, they will run it effectively under Kirk Shiraka. He will develop that Wimsatt, whoever else they get in there for their quarterback. I'm very excited that Rutgers got Kirk Shiraka. It hurt the Gophers, but Rutgers, they got a shot. Purdue, I got them because this is true for many Big Ten schools, Big Ten teams. Have a transition year, right? Transition year, changing the head coach. I got Purdue 6 in the West. Michigan State, number 10 overall. I got them 5th in the East. I got to see it to believe it now with Mr. Mel Tucker. I got to see it to believe it with that roster. I think Maryland has passed them by. I think there's a gap there going into the season. I saw Minnesota blow out Michigan State at Michigan State last year. I got to see something. For Michigan State, I can't have them any better than number 10. Just can't do it. Minnesota Golden Gophers, 9th overall, 5th in the West. Gopher fans are mad at me, so add them to the list of everybody who's upset with me at Peek Around the Corner. Again, today, an announcement, Trill Carter, starting defensive tackle for the last couple of years, still has 2 years of eligibility remaining, has entered the transfer portal. So why don't you carve out my heart with a dull, rusted spoon? People are saying, don't panic, Greg. I already was panicking before today's news. The Gophers, number 9th overall in the nation in defense last year. Number 3 in the nation in total defense the year before. Joe Rossi, a great defensive coordinator. But man, they've lost some defensive starters in the transfer portal. He's going to have to work another miracle in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Number 9, I can't have them any higher than that. Can't have them. Nebraska, it pains me to have Nebraska to have the Gophers. They start the season against each other August 31st, Thursday night. Not sure about Nebraska's quarterback situation. Heavy transition year, once again, for a Big Ten school. But Nebraska's number 8. I got Illinois, number 7. New quarterback, new defensive coordinator. They lost their great running back. But 3rd in the West seems to be the spot for the Illinois Fighting Illini. Iowa. I can't believe I have them 2nd in the West. I can't believe it. But what else am I supposed to do? They're going to have a great defense. McNamara, their quarterback, transferred from Michigan. Their offensive line, the news coming out of Iowa City is that they've been brutal this spring. But what other team am I going to have as number 2 in the West? So I got Iowa 6 overall. Number 5, the Maryland Terrapins. They're coming on. We've been talking about it. Returning quarterback, new offensive coordinator, but they've got the wide receiver room once again. Those great athletes. Maryland Terrapins, number 5, knocking on the door, possibly for a top 3 finish in the East. Number 4, I got the Evil Badgers, Wisconsin. Big, heavy transition year. Once again, for one of the Big Ten teams. But I got them winning the West again. Top 5 schools in the Big Ten West can win the Big Ten West. Even my Gophers can win it. Gophers won 9 games, 11 games in the last 3 full years. They can win it. I just have them taking a step back this year. Nebraska can win it. I can't believe I'm saying that. But the Big Ten West is wide open. But Wisconsin should be the chalk, should be the favorite, should be the chalk here at Chalk Talk. Michigan Wolverines, 2-time defending, reigning, undisputed Big Ten champions. Why do I have them number 3? Are you crazy? Are you crazy, Greg? Maybe I am crazy. Or maybe I'm crazy like a fox. Michigan number 3, they're stacked this year. They're unbelievably stacked. Now, last year, we predicted Michigan to go to the playoffs, along with Ohio State, along with Georgia. We got 3 out of those 4 correct. But after losing in the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row, they got a tougher schedule. Last year's schedule was really easy. I don't think the Buckeyes are going to lose to them 3 years in a row. I think the Wolverines' disappointment in the playoffs, emotional letdown. I got the Buckeyes number 2 in the East, 2nd best team in the Big Ten, which leaves us, the Big Ten champions, Penn State Nittany Lions. Am I crazy? Sure, why not? The best running back duel, I think, at the end of the year, best running back duel in the country. Allen and Singleton, Penn State. That's who I got. That's who I got. What do you have? What do you guys have? Put it in the comments section. Finally, let's get to your comments. Then we'll get to your phone calls. Holy smokes. Joey Dagger, Penn State hasn't won at the shoe since 2011. Jesse Wilson, go Huskies. Go Greg. Joey, Monovision, no. Curtis says Michigan has more talent in 2023 than they've ever had. Nobody will beat Michigan in 2023. You could be right, Curtis. You could be right. You know, I'm Greg the Cooler. I might have just made it impossible for Penn State to win the Big Ten, but I've got them this year. I've got them. I've got an emotional, psychological letdown for Michigan. They just won't get over the hump this year once again. Penn State fans are now upset with me. Shh. Let's keep it quiet, Greg. Same old Penn State. If Greg is still cursed, then college football playoffs is going to be like the tournament. Yeah, a lot of people disagree. Joey, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate your generosity to the channel. Appreciate you so very much. Thank you. Go Penn State. Mona Vision. Greg just cooled the Nittany Lions. 2023 is a different year. It's not 2022. 2022, I had a winning percentage that was barely measurable, just like my GPA. But this year, I'm going to rock it. Big 12 sports, Baylor football. Actually, I really appreciate your candor, Greg. Well, thank you so very much. I had Baylor winning the Big 12 championship last year in my predictions. And unfortunately, I had Baylor winning it 2 times in a row. Unfortunately, Greg the Cooler, I ruined the season for the Baylor Bears all on my own. D5 Terps, let's go Terps. This is a big year for Maryland. This is going to show us if Maryland, now next year, 2024, they're going to have to probably have a new quarterback. But this year, we're going to finally see Maryland. Look, are they going to be ready to go in 2024? Are they going to be able to take the advantage of where there's not 2 divisions anymore? Right? Can they finish in the top 4 of the conference in 2024? Top 3, get to a January 1st bowl game. We're going to find out so much about Loxley program here from Maryland in 2023. So much. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated about Maryland. I'm fascinated, about Penn State. In the Big Ten West, there's so much heavy transition. The one school that's not in transition when it comes to staff and other things are the Gophers, but when it comes to players, my goodness, we've lost a lot. We have lost a lot. Tony Gopher, to quote Daffy Duck, you're despicable. Thank you for the super chat, Tony. I appreciate it. Gopher fans are not happy with me. Look, we got intriguing players. We do. Darius Taylor, Zach Evans. The Gophers' running game has been the best, one of the best in the country. We got 2 running backs that no one knows about. We've already gotten reports from this spring football. I think Tuesday, well, I don't want to give my location away. I'm going to be going to some of these practices. There's intrigue. But the problem, Tony, but thank you for your super chat. The problem is that there's so many questions. And are you really going to be able to answer all those questions in a positive way? We lost the best center in college football. We just lost a defensive tackle. The center's going to be drafted in the 1st round. We lost Mohamed Ibrahim, legendary running back. Yes, we got 2 great ones. We think we have 2 great ones. We think our quarterback is very high skill. Athan Clackamanus, the Greek rifle. I'm excited about him. Watch his tape against Wisconsin. He was phenomenal. PJ Fleck is no joke, right? He's won 29 games. This is the best era of Minnesota Golden Gopher football in my lifetime, and I'm 54 years old. So he's not a joke, but they're taking a step back here at Peak Around the Corner. A step and a half back. That's how I see it. Curtis Juma, can anyone please direct me to this Arizona State Money Perch? I looked on the internet, could not find anything on this person. Thanks. I would not be able to direct you to it, but you can go back to our shows, go to our YouTube channel. Arizona State Money Perch has spoken, and he's nailed the story. Rebecca, no, the Gophers' former center's going round to my Seahawks. The Vikings need him, Rebecca. The Vikings need him. Vikings need a lot. They were the worst 13-4 team in the history of NFL football last year. Praise the Lord, Greg. Praise you, Mr. Green. Thanks for coming in. Michigan has the only returning starter quarterback of the top three. Grateful Trojan. Makes a great comment. Oh, Michigan is stacked. Absolutely stacked. I'm basing this on, can they do it 3 years in a row? Can they beat the Buckeyes 3 years in a row? Can they come back after losing 2 first-round games in the playoffs and do it all over again? Work every week. I'm going to say no. It wouldn't surprise me if Michigan just whips up on everybody. But I'm going to say this is Franklin's year. This is it. This is it. It's got to be it. Just like Washington, this is their year. Florida State, this is their year. Texas is back. I'm going 5 for 5. I'm going 5 for 5 in my Power 5 picks. What do you think of that, guys and gals? I'm going 5 for 5. I'm going from 2022 with the worst winning percentage in the history of college football YouTube channel to this year. I'm going 5 for 5. Okay, let's get to your $4 sign. I'll get your comments up as quick as possible. We are completely independent, no strings attached. College football channel. We are kind of weird here. Sometimes we sing, but we always talk college football here at College Football Peak Around the Corner. We don't do basketball. By the way, before we get to your phone calls, the Minnesota Golden Gophers hockey win the first round of the tournament against Canisius 9-2, the number 1 team in the country. They're going to play St. Cloud State next round, so look out. Son of Sarek, your speech for knowing how to win and lose is very appropriate in today's society. Thank you, Son of Sarek. Keep up the good work. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your generosity to this channel. Thank you so very much. And I think as a Gopher fan, we've learned to lose. We've learned how to lose. Okay, let's get to the phone calls. Then the number is 763-260-1333. I have the number wrong on the ticker once again. Wrong on the ticker once again. I can go change that actually.
Call from Rebecca. Go ahead.
Rebecca, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, Miss Husky.
Yes. Hi, Greg. How are you today?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, back to regular spring weather here in Seattle after we let all of our rain go to Southern California for a while.
Yeah.
Now it's going to rain again. But
yes.
That's our spring. I just want to say, like, I think Penn State is going to be crazy good. Like, it just feels like they're ready to, like, I know they're, like, replacing a quarterback and then a few guys on defense, but, God, they
got a better quarterback this year. Drew Aller.
Yeah.
He hasn't much experience, but he's going to rock it. I'm sorry, Rebecca. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Like, I'm just, like, I'm not sold on the Michigan quarterback. Was it McCarthy?
Yeah.
Watching him play against TCU, I mean, like, there were times where I was like, does he have, like, I know he's a 5-star quarterback, but I was like, it doesn't look like he has the arm strength to really, like, pick a team apart. And, like, they're just built to not, like, fall behind because they're going to run the ball. But watching him have to throw, like, will the team to victory, it just did not look like he was going to be able to do it at times. And then there were other times you're like, oh, my God, it's just crazy good throw. But there were other times you're like, man, that looks like it has no zip. So I'm maybe hoping it's the end of the year kind of thing. What do you think on that? Like, am I crazy on that?
No,
like,
well, first of all, I was hammering on Michigan's going undefeated, right? They win. And I was starting to hammer on him because at the end of the year, he had like 3 bad games in a row. So right when I hammered on him, he played great against the Buckeyes. And I was like, well, what do I know? We talked about it in that playoff game against TCU. I was screaming at the TV. We were doing a watch party. And Michigan, the way they blitzed TCU on almost every single play. They blitzed the quarterback. They should have never have blitzed over and over again. The game plan was atrocious. And I actually felt really bad for Michigan. Look, Jim Harbaugh is a great coach, but that game plan will always stick in my mind as a terrible. They lost that game in the locker room. Michigan lost that game in the locker room. My whole prediction, as crazy as it is, it's probably as wrong as it is, because we all know I'm wrong, but I'm basing it on emotional, psychological damage to that team, losing that game at TCU, losing again in the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to grind it, right? You got to grind it every week. Let's say you're Washington Huskies, right?
Yeah.
They're on the upswing. I mean, they've got everything going. They've got all their guys coming back, just like Michigan. But they were 11-2 last year. They see it. They feel it. They taste it. They're going to grind it every single week. They're going to get there. Right? Michigan, they've been there, and then they just couldn't quite do it. Plus, the Buckeyes have lost to Michigan 2 years in a row. It's just, I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but we'll see.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, when it comes to my Huskies, I'm like, November is, look, if Washington can go through that November schedule, yeah. Like,
yeah.
That thing is loaded. I think what is it? It's USC, I think Oregon State, Utah, and Washington State, all in November. Something like that. Like, I can't remember. There's a game. I think there's a game in between USC and Utah, but it was like,
yeah,
that's a gauntlet. Like, there's not like Alabama's not going to, aside from like Auburn's down, but Alabama's not doing the at Georgia and then at LSU and then at Tennessee in November. It's just never going to happen, and then follow it up with your rival. I'm like, if they can get through it, it's just going to be a tough 3 weeks there.
Yeah,
they just got to get through the Apple Cup. But I'm like, it is going to be a wild season. The people out here are ready to explode. Like,
oh yeah. Pac-12 football is going to be so much fun. That was the one conference I got right last year. Wild Oot. I had Utah last year winning it all. That's the one thing I got right. So if I get it right again, that means Washington's going to win the championship, conference championship.
Right? Like, I mean, like, Michael Penix's coming back. He's probably going to be a Heisman. He's definitely going to be in the Heisman watch list at the start of the year. They've got 2 1,000-yard receivers coming back. They're only replacing the 3 interior offensive linemen on the entire offense. And a running back, but they loaded up at running back with the Mississippi State transfer and the Arizona State transfer. And then the secondary is just completely reloaded with the Oklahoma State transfer and then the USC transfer at linebacker. It's just like, it's
McMillan,
like,
Odunze.
Yeah. Like, the team is ready to just okay.
Offensive coordinator's coming back. He was pursued by Alabama, but they didn't get him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, our 2 starting defensive ends, both with double-digit sacks.
Yes,
they're coming back.
They're coming back.
This whole team is built. It's like, people will be like, oh, maybe like Michigan could beat them in a playoff game. It's like, okay, we'll have to wait and see because, life happens. Because right now, I would say Tennessee would have probably gone into the playoff last year and played Georgia if Hooker had been healthy. We don't know. So I'm like, at the end of the year, let's see how it goes. But it's like, everything is like, I'm not sold on Texas. I know you are, but I don't do Texas and Texas A&M because they've let me down too many times.
Yeah.
Like, especially A&M. I wanted them to beat Alabama after all the trash talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't want to keep too much of your time, Greg. I just want to say, as far as realignment goes, it's very quiet in 4 places. You've only heard from 6 schools.
Yes,
You're not hearing there's been nothing out of Seattle, Eugene, Palo Alto, or Berkeley.
Yes.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
That should tell you the other 6 are the most active and openly vocal out of all of it.
Yeah.
So we just want to just say that watch how those 4 are kind of like, at some point the noise from those 4, as quiet as it is going to become deafening.
Yeah. Yes.
So. All right, Greg.
Got it.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Cool.
Yes, Wild Oot. Penn State, Drew Aller was a 5-star. He's ready to go.
Call from
Lewis.
Lewis is in the house. The floor is yours, good sir. What do you got to say?
Well, it's been an interesting week, to say the least. The dominoes did not fall this week.
Yeah.
That were promised to be. And I mean, to some degree, I've gotten sick of it. I've blocked several accounts on Twitter just 'cause I'm sick of seeing the posts. I don't have time. I'm not. This doesn't help to argue. What's going to happen is going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think the cake is baked. But really, the money perch you need to be looking at, Greg, is your Big Ten money perch, and seeing if there is any legitimate movement starting. And it's very hard because there's no commissioner.
Yeah.
But is there a legitimate opportunity for Washington and Oregon and the Big Ten and all the schools and Gene Smith and everybody involved to come to some kind of a deal? Because that'll be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I still believe, just my opinion, I have no inside information, that that's what's holding up the deal. Washington and Oregon are nowhere near ready to sign on the dotted line for a grant of rights until they know that the Big Ten is gone.
Okay,
and
Okay, Louis, I'm sorry. I never interrupt your calls, and you'll get more time. But it's